Everyone, welcome back to the Kicks and Picks podcast. Coach Steve here leading the way with Nick and Scotty. We had our first weekend of bets last weekend, and we're getting into really the thick of things in Europe with Serie A also kicking off this week. But before we get into our bets for this week and another great guest, so about the weekend that was. It was the first weekend of the Premier League. We had a little action in La Liga, a little bit in Ligue 1. Overall, we finished 5-4-1. Plus 1.04 units. So a winning
My
week.
bad.
Our podlock hit thanks to Newcastle.
Big.
Old reliable team of the pod. I will brag a little bit here. I did lead the way with a 3-0 weekend.
Yes, sir.
Plus 3.254 units. So I will take that. Scott, I'll just kind of
Just a little 0-3 to start the season. No, doesn't hurt.
And Nick 1-1-1. Finished just above even, up 500th of a unit. So
there you go.
Just enough to stay above water. So guys, how do you feel about the last weekend?
In my defense, if you rewind the tape, the second that you both said you are also in Tottenham, I said I want to switch my pick to Brentford. So in that sense, I mean, it still would have lost because Brentford, they drew. So I guess that doesn't really help my case. I knew that was a loser to start.
Also, in fairness, we made that bet before Harry Kane left. We were all under the assumption
and
Harry
I didn't
Kane
think
was going to be starting.
Oliver Skip was going to start. If you told me Oliver Skip was starting that game in midfield, I would not have.
And that's, I mean, listen, for anybody that just started listening or that's brand new to the show, we do make these picks pretty early in the week. We're recording right now, right? This is Tuesday night. So shit like this does happen. I mean, it works in our favor sometimes when we get a great number. It works against us sometimes like this. I think if we made this,
Kevin De Bruyne to score a goal.
No. Right. You know, like
we do know that now.
If we had made this bet on a Friday, I don't think this would have been one of Scott's locks. I think that's very fair to say.
No, for sure not. And it was also questionable for Charleston was going to play. I think that kind of came up, towards the end. So
he might as well not have played because I don't remember one thing he did.
Yeah, no, the Rooster did not make an appearance. So unfortunate. But other than that, I mean, the weekend was at least a little entertaining from a Premier League standpoint. A lot of good games. I put out my power rankings. I might do that every Monday now. But I got Newcastle as the best team in the league so far. They smoked Villa. Just absolutely dominated the midfield. Tonali scoring on his debut. Isak scoring
3 hockey assists.
Yeah. Isak looked good. That's big for them. Yeah.
City looked good, but they lost De Bruyne in like the 30th minute, and it sounds like he's going to be out now until at least December.
4 months, I think I saw, right?
Yeah. So we'll see him in 2024, which is usually when City make their like undefeated run, but will be certainly an interesting wrinkle to the title race to start the season. If Arsenal and Newcastle can kind of get off to a hot start, build a little bit of a lead, will make for an interesting second half. And Liverpool stink. I mean, they're not good.
That was brutal. I'll interject there, Scotty. After the first probably 15 minutes, I don't know that I could have ever felt better about a bet at Liverpool team total over 1.5. I'm like, oh, this is going to cash by the fucking 30th minute. There's no doubt in my mind.
You knew that once the Salah goal was called back from VAR, you knew it was dead then. Okay.
Absolutely dead.
That was when I knew it was dead. So no, this is over.
Yep.
So that was definitely a gut punch for all of us, I guess, for reasons.
Yeah. I mean, Liverpool are in trouble, hence the background today. Went into the weekend thinking that, Liverpool top 4 very much on the table and potentially a strong season. Now here we are 4 days later, and the midfield is still an absolute mess. The defense, I mean, Konate and Allison played really well. Virgil was all right, but Robertson was bad. Gakpo in midfield is not a solution. And they don't really have a plan, it seems. I guess we still have a few weeks left until the window closes, but it's not looking good for Liverpool right now.
McAllister, I thought looked good.
Yeah, no, I mean, he did. He did well. He's just playing in a position that is a little bit further back than what he should be. So,
and Spalasai, I'm sorry, I always butcher his name. I thought he looked pretty good. Yeah, he always looked pretty good.
I think they're both good signings, but I think they do need more for sure. Like you don't play Gakpo there.
Right. Yeah, the problem is like their midfield was bad last season, and then this summer they shipped out 5 midfielders, and they've brought in 2. Granted, 2 are good, but
math is math.
They've got to add at least another 2 more, in my opinion, and they still need to have another defensive back because we had Konate and Virgil playing there today or last weekend, and they're still healthy, but there's going to be a time where one or both of them aren't going to be available, and Matip and Gomez is not really confidence instilling in terms of defensive prowess. So
I heard Harry Maguire's available.
Yeah,
I heard Harry Maguire's not leaving unless United pay him 15 million to get out of his contract. So
don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't think Maguire's going anywhere.
So 2 things I do want to say, 2 rules that came true before I toss it up to Coach Steve and let him brag a little bit. 2 podcast rules did come through for us. And number 1, it's Newcastle money line is just has to be our biggest money maker of all time.
Yeah.
So love that. And Real Madrid at plus money. I mean, like that was the one thing I tried to hammer home last week. If you get Real Madrid at plus money, you take it, and it came through. So with that said, Coach Worldwide went to, I believe, 3 different leagues. 2 or 2?
2.
Just 2. Okay.
Two,
well,
2.
Coach Worldwide.
I stayed in the Premier League for 2 of the picks.
All right. But you came through with a very easy 3-0 week.
Yeah, I rode similar to the Kane situation at Spurs is Mitrovic at Fulham, but Mitrovic actually was still on the roster on the weekend and played a part in that match. And I got that draw no bet against Everton. I just felt good about Fulham. Don't know how much I'll be riding them until I see what they look like without Mitrovic in the next coming weeks. But
50 million, right? They're saying
last year. Yeah, a lot of money. We'll see how they reinvest if they do. But they were a team I liked to bet last year because they would usually get pretty good value, and it played out against Everton this week. I mean, draw no bet at plus 135. I could have lived with a push if I had to there. Yeah. Brighton minus 1.5 against Luton Town. I did not think Luton Town stood any chance against Brighton, and that was easy. And then I took Lorient getting a goal and a half at PSG at minus 105. And I said, a lot of turnover at PSG. There was no Mbappe, all these guys on the way out. And the only thing that annoys me, I got that, but I had the parlay boost on DraftKings. I took 3 matches, I think. Trying to think, I forget which Premier League match I had because it was the same day as those games. It might have been Brighton. It was Newcastle. Yeah. So I had Newcastle. I had Real Madrid because I had to go with you there, and then I had PSG. Just a simple money line, I think. Was the pick.
Wasn't that like a plus 500 or something like that? I saw when you posted.
Yeah, it was something like that, and I was plus 500. I was like, this should cash. I felt good about Lorient keeping it close. I didn't think PSG wouldn't score a goal though. So I'll take my 3-0 for the pod, but it would have been nice to cash that also. It would have been a nice way to start the season.
Brighton low key may be the real winner from this weekend. I mean, they look pretty good, and considering they've sold off about 200 million pounds worth of midfielders. Not too bad to continue that streak against Luton Town of all teams, but things are
got to stack up points like that. Teams like that, you got to start off really good, really early.
And they have a good recruitment strategy, right? They're bringing in that Argentine left back I saw for 10 million today, and that's just part of how they build their squad. I think De Zerbi is a really good young coach. Nick and I saw him plenty in Serie A with Sassuolo. He built a good side there before he went to Shakhtar, and then the war happened and he had to leave that job, and now he's at Brighton. But I think they're set up well to again push for not top 4, but I think they could push for top 7 again.
Yeah. I mean, João Pedro looked really good. That was like their big forward signing, and they kind of needed it, right? I don't know how long you want to rely on Welbeck, but as long as he's healthy, I think they'll be pretty lethal up front.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, Scotty, kick off our hat trick of picks.
Yeah, I'm going to start with a shot in the dark here. Look, it's a pick that's long odds, but I think the value is unbelievable considering where both teams are right now. So I'm taking Bournemouth draw no bet plus 800 at Liverpool. Look, Liverpool are a mess right now. They might figure things out before the window closes, but it's probably not going to happen by the time they play Bournemouth, right? It's now Tuesday night. There's no rumored incoming midfielder signings. I don't think Thiago or Bayetic are going to be available to play. So they're going to be trying to play some sort of similar formation with the similar cast of characters that they did against Chelsea. And I don't think it works. It just doesn't. Maybe Nunez starts in this time up top instead of Jota because Jota looked a little bit off the pace against Chelsea. But I don't think it's going to matter. I think this line is severely exaggerated just because last time Bournemouth came to Anfield, they left with a 9-0 beating. But in March, they got their revenge and they beat Liverpool 1-0 at home. So they're certainly capable of winning. Plus 800 on a draw no bet line against a very mid-table looking Liverpool. When Bournemouth themselves looked okay last weekend, I think they got a 1-1 draw and they managed to pull through in like the 84th minute. So I think they're capable of scoring, certainly against this, high line, no press Liverpool midfield. So I'm taking a shot here. I could certainly see this being a bit of an upset and causing even more disarray in the Liverpool world. So if it happens, I want to stand to profit off of it. And it's plus 800. So I'll take it.
Two things I want to say about this. This is also misvalued because Liverpool didn't win last week when I think they clearly dominated. I think the books have to imagine Liverpool is not going to start the first two games without a win. But shit, dude, you can get Bournemouth plus a goal and a half for plus 120. I think that's insane.
Okay, take it if you guys want that too. But again, plus 800 with a draw no bet.
No, I'm not trying to talk you off of your lock. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, if anybody's listening and
if you're
not a believer, plus a goal and a half.
If you're looking for something that's more of a lock than a just like, hey, let's take this value and buy the ticket, then fine, take plus 1.5. I wouldn't begrudge you.
All right, there you go, Scotty. That's why he's in the burning room over there, going against his squad. All right, I'm going to go to Serie A with
he is mushing Liverpool to like a 4-0 victory, by the way, just for anybody.
He'll sacrifice that unit to get 3 points on the table. So I'm going to go to Serie A with my first pick. I'm going to go Fiorentina money line plus 130 at Genoa. Genoa won Serie B last season. I expect them to avoid relegation this year. They're back in Serie A, one of the most historic clubs in Italy. However, I think Fiorentina just has too much quality for them in their first game back in the top flight. And I think there's just too much value in Fiorentina here. I know they're getting a little bit because they're on the road. I think draw no bet is also an option. It's at minus 145 right now. If it moves closer to the 130 range, I'd probably consider draw no bet and take the protection. But right now I'm going Fiorentina money line at plus 130.
So I'm on this game as well. My first lock is over 2.5 goals. It's plus 105. Just because I agree with Steve. I think Genoa has a goal in them. I really do. I think that, they're not coming up to just go right back down. Fiorentina's defense has not been very good. But they're going to be looking to really start the season off well, compete for a European place. They made a really deep run into the Europa Conference League last year. They made it to the final. I think, looking through all the games in Italy, there's what seems like a lot of mismatches. Yeah. I was surprised the line that coach got was so good. But this seems as likely of an over as any of the games in this opening round. So I really like the over in this one. I think this one is a 2-1 game.
Yeah, unlike unlike the Premier League, who will give you that Chelsea-Liverpool opening weekend match, Serie A tries to avoid those matches at least till the second week or third week of the season. So you do get a lot of mismatches in the lines. I will say that.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's hope that the newly promoted club has a better turnout than the ones in Premier League this weekend, because neither Burnley nor Sheffield United, who are both home, managed to score a goal in their Premier League, re-debut. Luton Town did get a goal off a penalty against Brighton, but that was their consolation goal in a 4-1 loss. So hopefully Genoa fare a little bit better than the Premier League newly promoted clubs.
And it's a tough place to play, or at least it used to be. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have to imagine the fans haven't left. So I really hope they get one. I mean, I don't know if Fiorentina can win this game 3-0 on their own. They might be able to, but I really see this one as a 2-1 game.
Yeah. Well, for my second pick, I'm going back to the pick that did not fare well last weekend, but I'm going back with Tottenham. Draw no bet plus 105. They're home versus Manchester United. Tottenham drew Brentford 2-2 last game, and I don't think it was so much that they looked bad. I think Brentford looked better than maybe what we expected given the lack of Tony and Raya. Brentford did benefit from a penalty from Heung-min Son coming back to try to defend, but Tottenham, I think under Ange for the first game looked pretty decent, especially without Kane. Yeah, I would have preferred a better midfield, but you get what you get. On the flip side, on Monday, United, I don't think looked very good at all. They were lucky to come away with a win against Wolverhampton, which is like the hot in the streets pick for relegation, it seems, because they lost Lopetegui and a bunch of their senior players, but they still look pretty good going forward. And I think if their finishing was a little bit better, they certainly would have had a goal. Andre Onana decision, be damned. He looked like he gave away a penalty in the 95th minute that just didn't get called. So I like Tottenham here at home, draw no bet. I don't see United picking up a win based off of the form I saw on Monday to this weekend. And I think Tottenham have a few goals in them, especially if United kind of play and set up the way that they did against Wolves. Their finishing should be a lot better than Wolves, and I could see Tottenham getting 2 or 3 in this one pretty easily.
Right, so Scotty going back to the well without Harry Kane.
I'm going draw no bet this time. And they're at home, so it's a little bit different.
everything you said about United though is spot on. I mean, they probably deserve to lose that game, or at least draw. I mean, Wolves looked better than them for the majority of it. And
and coach in the group chat, coach was trying to put a live bet on United in like the 60th minute because they're like minus 120. And we talked him out of it because Nick and I were both watching. And I don't think we foresaw, United escaping with 3 points there.
Yeah.
So they got it, but they got it by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, I turned it on around the time I sent that text, and I went with you guys because I figured you've been watching the whole match. But it was just, when you have that feeling with those big teams, like sooner or later they're going to find one. That was a feeling I had.
Yeah.
They did get it, but also probably could have had a draw in the end if I had, knowing my luck, if I had taken that live bet, Onana gets called for the penalty, it finishes 1-1, and I lose the bet.
You're probably right.
No doubt.
That's coach's fault.
Definitely. So, and was this before or after what's his name hit the post, the forward for Wolves?
It was before. Yeah, it was before. Yeah. Because that was like in the 75th.
Yeah.
It was around there.
So anybody who's a Wolves fan, it's my fault that Wolves lost and didn't get that point. I take the heat on that one. I'm going to Premier League with my second one. I'm going Nottingham Forest money line minus 115 against Sheffield United. Sheffield did absolutely nothing at home last week against Crystal Palace. That was one of Scotty's draw no bets. I actually rode with that bet in a real bet because I thought they would have come out with some life at home, and they did absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, Forest put in a pretty solid shift against Arsenal at the Emirates, coming close to getting a late tying goal. I think Forest takes care of business at home here.
I like it. All right, I have to go with my squad. First week, first game. As we mentioned, a lot of mismatches. This was on paper as big of a mismatch as any other game, but the line does not reflect that. Lazio money line away at Lecce. Listen, I think Lecce is a pretty solid candidate to go down. I think they're actually second most favored to be relegated. So this is the type of team Lazio need to make quick work of. They definitely struggled in this position last year, beating a lot of the top teams and the teams around them, but really struggling to get all 3 points against bottom 5 teams. I think that cannot be the case this year. And this number reminds me a lot of Coach Steve's Fiorentina bet. I just think it's way too good to pass up.
Man, Nick betting on his team. I would have guessed Coach would have bet on Roma before Nick bet on Lazio.
Yeah, Roma's like minus 300.
Without Dybala and Pellegrini both suspended, they're minus 300. Yeah. But no, I have to agree with Nick here. I think plus 105 is a good number on Lazio. Lazio's pretty much got their whole starting 11 available. Obviously minus Milinkovic-Savic.
I'll live with the eventual 1-1 tie, but I mean, you got to take this bet.
Yeah. Kamada doesn't start, probably comes off the bench. They're one of their bigger signings this summer, but when you look at Lecce, there's not much that makes you say they can pull this off. I know they sold Hellman to, I think it was Sporting Lisbon recently, who was really one of their better midfielders. As much as I love to support the Pugliese squads, being that's where my roots are from, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, is what's his face still there?
Strafezza is still there.
Yeah, I mean, he's good, he's dangerous, but I don't know who's going to pass.
Not much else to get you excited there.
All right, I will bring things home. My final pick this weekend is going to be the under 2.5 in Aston Villa versus Everton. Neither team looked good last weekend, to say the least. We talked about Aston Villa getting smacked by Newcastle. So they're going to look to rebound, but they also lost their arguably best defender and captain in Tyrone Mings in that game as well. So kind of a double loss for them. With that said, Everton, they had 19 shots, 9 shots on target at home, and they still managed to lose 1-0 in their opening match. Neil Mopai looks like he is completely lost and useless in front of goal. I mean, it's tough to find a striker that had a worse performance than him last weekend. And I think, Sean Dyche in the position that he's in right now, if he doesn't get at least a point here on the road, things are going to be kind of in panic mode already for Everton, given the fact that they've tried to get out of relegation and escape relegation in 2 consecutive seasons. And they start, the first 2 weeks with double losses against, mediocre mid-table to lower table teams. It's going to be an issue. So I expect defensive Dyche to come out. I think they're going to try to set up, maybe try to win this one if they can, 1-0. On the flip side, Villa, they still have Ollie Watkins. I think he's good, but they don't really have a Robin to him. I know they're bringing in Zaniolo, but we love talking about Zaniolo's inaccuracy in front of net. And I don't even know that he's going to play this weekend.
No chance.
No way he plays. Yeah.
Just getting in, but they don't have anybody playing behind him. I know Diaby was the one that got the goal against Newcastle, but that was a incredible strike that's probably going to be really hard to recreate. So I don't see there being a lot of goals in this one. I see this actually being kind of like a really choppy defensive match where Everton are just trying to scrap together a draw at the very least. So I'll take the under 2.5 at -110. I don't feel like you're giving up a lot of juice, so it's worth it for me.
All right, I'm going here now. Here I was putting this into the doc first today, thinking this bet would be the craziest of the weekend. Then Scotty trumped it by far with his Bournemouth bet. But I'm going Newcastle double chance at Manchester City. I mean, there's always a risk betting against City at the Etihad, but hear me out here. Newcastle's coming off that complete annihilation of Villa that we discussed earlier. Meanwhile, City, like we said, just lost KDB for what looks to be 4 months. And they also have to play the UEFA Super Cup on Wednesday, just 3 days before this match. I don't know if the Magpies win outright, but I do like their chances of getting a result here because of all those factors. I'm giving this one a shot at plus money, plus 135. Newcastle can't be playing any better after the first weekend. So I'm going to take a shot here with our team of the pod.
You're hot, bro. You're feeling it. You put it down. This is a fucking winner. And I can't wait to brag to the rest of the world about it. So I'm going to go back to the well for our easy over squad. 2 of them actually, but one that we really need some help from. Atalanta, I think they are going to be potentially a surprise team in the league this year. I like their team total, 1.5 goals over, -120 at the worst defense we've ever seen, Sassuolo. I just think there's no way we can pass on this Atalanta team total week 1. I don't know. I don't see a world where they don't get 2 in this one. And the over is so juiced in this one, 3.5 goals. It's plus 145. I think the over 2.5 is like -180. So books are expecting goals. I don't see a way that Sassuolo outscores Atalanta. Team total seems like a lock here.
Yeah, Atalanta was an easy overs team from us from the beginning, right?
Yes.
That's one of our OG easy over
and
club.
I know this because I had to look up the stats today to put some stuff together. They were averaging 2.3 goals a game when we were first like riding them really, really heavy. They were down to 1.7 last year. So they dropped half a goal. But guess what? 1.7 is higher than 1.5. So I think they, you got Lookman, who's coming in for his second year. He was phenomenal last year. Skamaka's coming in. He's got a big chip on his shoulder and a point to prove. And Sassuolo plays that wide open, no defense. Can't rely on them for 90 minutes game. So Atalanta's really going to want to get 3 points in this game. I think they get 2 pretty easily.
Agreed. And that takes us to our pod lock. We went Newcastle last weekend. This weekend, we're going with another team we were talking about earlier. That's Brighton, moneyline -110 at Wolves. I mean, we praised them earlier. Wolves held out against United pretty long. This could be a kind of a scrappy match for Brighton to find a goal because Wolves can defend pretty well. But, I mean, I sent this to you guys, and you guys both quickly said, lock it in. We all agreed quick, and we don't always agree quickly on these pod locks. This is one we all liked. So maybe that means fade it, but we love it. -110, Brighton money line, lock it in at Wolves.
Yeah, and I think they're going to put way more pressure on Wolves than I feel like United did. I feel like United were kind of sleepwalking through that game, especially the first 60 minutes or so. So if they can play that press the way they have been over the past half a season, this should be a no-doubter.
I will say preliminarily, if Brighton get the job done here and Wolves lose to Brighton, look at for Wolves as decent value in the next couple of weeks because they were a huge, public favorite to get relegated when we were talking about futures. Everybody was looking at them as being like plus 250, good shot at going down. They looked okay against United. I know, United didn't look great, but Wolves definitely looked better than what I think many people gave them credit for. They start out with 2 consecutive losses to against decent teams, United and Brighton. In the next 2 weeks, they have Everton and Crystal Palace. And I think they could absolutely get a result against either of those teams. And my guess is that books will probably undervalue them.
Yeah. And one thing I'll say that they've got 5 or 6 dudes that could just really handle the ball. I mean, these guys got quick feet, Brazilians, Portuguese. I don't know who is who.
They're Portuguese.
But, yeah. Like everybody was going through the midfield. Like United looked like they were in quicksand every time Wolves tried to break out. It's not going to be the same situation this week, but I think Scotty's point is spot on.
And one guy that they missed last year was Pedro Neto. And I think he's actually going to be a beacon of light for them if he can stay healthy, because he is really, really good. I think he's only 23. He's going to be a guy that will be on the short list for some of the top clubs to transfer in the coming year or two. And if I think he has a breakout season this year, it's almost a lock.
Yeah, so there you have it. There's our locks of the week. If you're watching on YouTube, we thank you for watching and hope you're winning with us.